Greetings to all viewers. Welcome to Catalyze Center for Learning webinar. Catalyze is a pioneer edtech company offering personalized one-on-one live interactive classes structured to the learning curve of the learner. Since its inception in 2008, Catalyze has grown from strength to strength in online education space. Today, we have Cambridge learners in over 40 countries of the world, and our Weschool vertical is an online school catering to Cambridge learners who can be homeschooled and appear for the Cambridge exams privately. In the recent times, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Catalyze had been a path of light for many parents and students. For today's webinar, we have our academic counselor, Mrs. Preeti Rajagopal, who would be speaking on the Weschool vertical and answering important FAQs that parents have in their mind before enrolling for the Weschool vertical at Catalyze. She will also be sharing some of the experiences that we have with the Weschool vertical, like how we provided predictive scores to homeschooler, which was accepted by Cambridge as it is, how we cater to kids who want to take up sport or music as their primary focus, and how they can utilize the opportunity of Cambridge private candidature. Also, we have helped special learners in this vertical. Hello, Preeti. How are you?
I'm Meenakshi, doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining today's webinar.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so basically in today's webinar, we want to discuss about certain FAQs that parents usually have in their mind before enrolling their children for the Weschool vertical at Catalyze. So I would just like to, ask you those questions one by one. So if you could just let me know, or everybody of us to let us know how the Weschool vertical works at Catalyze. We'd be really happy about it. So my first question, thank you.
Yeah.
My first question to you is, why homeschooling is a better option than a regular school?
Yes, Meenakshi. To answer this, I would work on 2 points here, talking about the scope and objective of homeschooling. Right. To understand these 2 points is very important. And starting with scope of homeschooling, what I want to bring to everyone's notice is these days, after this pandemic era, I should say, right, post-pandemic, the new era in which we are in, things have changed, and the parents have become more conscious about making their child grow in terms of the talent the child is having and working on their talent. That is point number one. Point number two, they are also concerned about the kind of pressure the kids are into these days, the competition around. So instead of putting those pressures and making them work, it's better, and I would say that the outputs and the results are better when the child works in their own pace and still competes with themselves and kind of excel, right? Which is not seen in our traditional schooling system. And finally, the parent or the tutor's special attention, which is there in the growing stages of the student or the kid, I feel is very important, where they can kind of enhance and can have more interaction with the student per se, when we are talking about the time they spent with them, right? So that is all kind of an advantage, what I feel. Yeah. And when I speak about the objective which I look at, as you rightly mentioned, that kids with special needs can kind of approach or work in a homeschooling environment. Students who are passionate towards their hobbies and taking their hobbies to the next level and becoming professionals, I think that is also an advantage when you are homeschooled. And as I feel that many a times a parent also feel that the culture they have imbibed from their parents, they want to kind of impart it to their kids as well. But many a times in the global setup, what they feel is it's kind of a mixed culture which comes in, right? And if they want to ensure that they are able to pass that traditional values and culture to the next generation, this is also one of the point which is being observed, where uh, the parents are intending to go for homeschooling, in terms of going for a religious study, or at home also if they are working on the same, right? So that's how the scenario for homeschoolers have changed. uh, and I feel it's for the good, right? And when I'm speaking about this, I would kind of want to bring to you some scenarios which we have kind of encountered in our experience with the 13 years in the online platform, right? Few of them are before the pandemic, few after, but more or less the scenarios remains the same. Like I would like to talk about a few of our kids who are passionate about sports. Either they are into cricket, tennis, or football, right? And they have to travel to different cities, even for that matter, across the globe for their tournaments. And in that case, homeschooling is very good for them, and they have seen the benefit out of it. Where they are able to kind of compartmentalize and work on the area of interest, as well as keeping their education going and not putting a stop to it. So that's, I feel, is really good, right? And also there is one interesting thing which I have kind of seen in this scenario, and that is, we call it age is just a number, right? Why? Because I have few of the students in the organization who are working professionals, right? And because of their commitment and the scenarios, whatever they have encountered in their early stages, they have missed on their crucial part of education. And they want to come back. They want to come back and finish their schooling. And I feel balancing with their work and having that intent of finishing schooling, whether it is for their job opportunities, better job opportunities, or I can think about their passion of finishing it up as getting a qualification for themselves, right? There are students who are aging somewhere around 30, 25, and they are willing to take, again, go back to school, and homeschooling is really helping them out, where they are able to balance their professional and educational passion.
Right, that's absolutely amazing to know that, absolutely age is just a number, because we can study the setup of homeschooling at any age.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, that's a really good examples that you just quoted. Now, when people decide to take homeschooling, which curriculum would be preferable for that?
Okay, so here I would kind of like to categorize it. I mean, primarily, I would like to ask a parent the country of origin, right? Beyond that, in spite of whatever the country of origin, I mean, there's just one criteria which I would want to look at. But beyond that, we have UK curriculum, which is supportive of homeschooling. And also in India, we have NIOS, which is supportive of homeschooling. Right? And when I speak about Indian curriculum, you can take it till grade 12, right? You have examination once you finish your 10th grade. That's when they have an examination, and then a 2 years of gap, and for grade 12 again they can appear for the examination. So That's how NIOS works. And then coming to UK curriculum, you have Cambridge, you have Pearson Edexcel, you have OCR, AQA. So you have kind of good amount of options there as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, could you just describe on how Catalyze has actually helped the private candidates by providing predictive grades, as I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
be sent to Cambridge, and how the Cambridge has accepted these grades as it is?
Right. So speaking of acceptance of the predictive grades, right? This was a scenario which came across during the pandemic. So since we work with the evolutionary learning of the child, we are aligned to the methodologies of Cambridge in terms of pen and paper, the key point presentations and things like that. We ensure that we have a regular cyclic assessment for the students. So what we did was with this process, we kind of also have a process of documenting all of it, right? Documentation is with us and is being shared with the student as well, along with the specific feedback in terms of the learning of the child, right? What kind of progress we are looking at, what are the areas the child needs to improve on, and things like that. So all of these is properly documented and kept as a dossier for that child. And when this pandemic happened, and the examination got cancelled, we could send these dossier to the center, and the center in turn kind of shared it with Cambridge, and Cambridge accepted the grades, the predictive grades we have given it to the student as it is, and there was no questions raised and nothing came back to us asking for clarifications or things like that, right? So that was the point where I feel that the processes in which we are working kind of help the students to get the grades what the child intended to and work for.
Right. That's absolutely a feather on our cap, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when they decide to go for homeschooling, the another question that is there in the mind is, what combination of both shall I take? You know,
Right.
what would be appropriate for me as a homeschooler?
So when I talk about, when I see the combination of both, the combination of both would come only when we are talking about the UK curriculum, right? So in UK curriculum, the challenge comes when we are talking about sciences primarily, right? Because when we talk about sciences, the part of practicals and how to approach a practical paper is something which needs to be addressed. With Cambridge, what happens is you have to go for a proper bench work, go to the lab, work on the experiments and kind of present your inputs, right? But for homeschoolers, there can be an option where you can have a combination of Cambridge with Pearson Edexcel, for example, right? Where subjects like math, business, and economics can be taken from Cambridge, and simultaneously you can go for sciences like chemistry and physics and biology with Pearson Edexcel, right? This way, two things can happen. One is where you are not actually worried about the bench work, right? So they also call it as coursework, right? So you're not kind of going for the coursework, but you are going for the alternative method instead of the coursework, right? Secondly, we kind of talk about splitting the subjects what we have taken into different sessions. Here also that can happen. Like for a Cambridge, you can go for a particular session, like a summer session or a winter session. And for Pearson Edexcel, you can go for the other session, right? So that kind of combination would also ease out the stress or the pressure of appearing for the examination. You can take 2 subjects or 3 subjects at a time and the remaining 1 or 2 at the other. So that way is also beneficial.
All right. Okay.
Right, and we have students who have done and kind of now are in different universities, right? So it's very well valid and very well accepted. So that can very well happen where you are working with combination of subjects. Yeah.
All right. All right. That's a very insightful information. Okay. Now, what are the different kinds of learners that Catalyze deals with, and how do you work? How do we work with these special learners?
Okay, so as I was telling that when we are talking about homeschooling, this is the primary advantage what I see. Meaning, when we have kids who require our special attention, who require a special way of treating and learning, right? I think homeschooling is good. I'll give you an example. For example, a child is having a dyscalculia, right? Meaning a child is suffering from a part where they're not confident, or I should say they are not interested in subjects like mathematics, or for that matter, calculation, right? Yeah, and what we know is this is an important part where you should be knowing the basics primarily, right? Like exchange of money, for that matter. You're going to a job, you're working as an entrepreneur, and you want to work and want to have the understanding of the basic accounts of your company. So
Right.
these are primary important things, and you cannot be always dependent on someone. Right, so seeing the future of this, and if a child can be trained to at least have the basic understanding of it and not to get fear out of it, I think that's a great achievement. And we have tutors who have worked with students to overcome the fear, and kind of help them to work on these fears and overcome them, right? So that's how I feel students with special needs can kind of definitely get benefit out of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do these private candidates register themselves as a private candidate in, like, how do they do that?
Okay, so this again would be categorized under a country specific, because it would be region specific, right? Country like India, you have to go to a registered school to get yourself registered and prepare yourself to sit for the examination. So primarily you have to go to the school, discuss for the registration process, maybe 3 to 4 months ahead of the session you are planning to sit for the examination. That's how it would happen in India. But outside of India, there are 2 channels. One, either you go to a British council and kind of enroll yourself, and the details would come to you from British Council, or else again the same method of going to a nearby school, a registered school where they work with private candidates. And the list of the schools where the private candidates can go and enroll themselves is kind of listed in the Cambridge website itself. So you have to mention the country you belong to, the city you belong to, and there would be a whole list of schools.
Schools which provides.
Yes, so you can kind of go and check in the website and kind of register, go and talk to the school and register yourself.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, now finally, to summarize, ma'am, I won't take much of your time. Just to summarize, what are the various advantages of homeschooling?
As I was mentioning earlier as well, when I was talking about the scope and objective of it, I think, again, I want to kind of bring those points in terms of giving attention to your kid in terms of their needs, whether we are talking about kids who are in different areas of sports or music or things like that, where they have to pursue their passion, right? That's one thing, of course, by and large, where people come for homeschooling. Second point, what we can talk about is we can work with the learning curve of the students, which would help them to kind of boost up their confidence in a very systematic and gradual manner. Maybe initially they are not, they are maybe a progressive learner, but they can kind of be stepped up to the next level, and kind of being taken each one step at a time, and they can be kind of progressed to the next level of understanding, right? Which primarily comes under the category of evolutionary learning or evolutionary progress, what we talk about, learning the potentials and then working on the child, right? Secondly, when we talk about homeschooling, and in a one-on-one setup like ours, what happens is we work with trained tutors, but the student tutor fit is also something which is very important, I feel. So in a homeschooling setup, I feel that that fit can be very well managed, and can be it's quite achievable, where the student relies on the tutor and the tutor has the same confidence, where the student can speak up the mind, come up with the fears, can discuss doubts, and talk about the achievements, what they have worked on, what areas they want to work on, and accordingly the tutor can kind of respond back. Similarly, the tutor can also work on telling the student what areas they need to improve on, and what is the strategy she's going to see and plan for the child, right? So that way it is a two-way process, where both of them are interacting, and primarily the learning becomes fun and interesting, not like a stereotypical way where one is just saying or speaking and another one is listening, right? So that and all, I feel is something which is adding on. Beyond that, if there is a change or shift in the curriculum you're looking, there is a country change or something like that, right? You can also homeschool, where you can work on the gaps, bridging up the gaps, and then working on the new curriculum which you are indulging in, right? So I feel these are the benefits or advantage which I see for a homeschooler.
Right. Okay. So thank you so much, Preeti ma'am. This was such an insightful information that you provided all our parents, because generally when parents come to us and they ask about homeschooling, because that's a completely new kind of genre for them, right?
Right. Absolutely.
The children from the conventional schools where we all study
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
a completely new kind of thing. It's also very important that they understand about how the curriculum, how it works, and how Catalyze works with respect to that, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So being a one-on-one kind of setup, Catalyze is really doing a wonderful, work with the students who come for homeschooling. So thank you so much for today's session. Thanks for your time.
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure is all mine. Yes.
Yeah, welcome, ma'am. So I think with this information, almost all their frequently asked questions are sorted. I think they will be able to understand about how it works. So thank you so much once again. Thank you to.
Thank you, Meenakshi, for inviting me. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Bye. Bye-bye. See you around. Have a nice day.